In part one of this video, we will be setting up a Windows share that is going to be accessed through Mac OS, Unix, Linux, or Windows, but we're going to be using a unified process to manage access, and this will be what you would use in Windows to use AD security groups to control access. But first, we're going to recap something that we accomplished in the previous posting, which was to be able to mount a CIFS share without the need of using a cleartext password. The reason why we're doing this is because some of the building blocks are contained here. So in the previous posting, I outlined that we created a MySMB share. From a sharing perspective, we're providing all authenticated users with the ability to read. And remember, in an Active Directory domain, computers have user accounts. So a computer account has to actually authenticate against the domain. Another thing that we did was at the NTFS level, we provided my CentOS and my SUSE machine with the ability to read. What is the net benefit? Is that because a Centrify system is already Kerberized, you can use the mount command and be able to mount that share without the need of putting in a cleartext password, which is typically a very bad thing to do. So in this particular case, I had to elevate. So I'm going to DZ-do and do the mount. So basically what I've done is I've mounted this MySMB share as MNT share in my machine. So if I look at the contents of the share right here, my file, if I go into my mount, I'll be able to list what is in there, my file. And if I look at the file on the Windows side, it says, hey, this is a test. If I cat the file over here, you'll see that it has the same contents. If I look at the Windows share capabilities here, you will see that when I look at the current sessions that the machine has, at this point, basically, this read-only shell is being accessed by, you see that send1 is one of the ones that is accessing it. Actually, the account is accessing over here is just Jerry that you can see. But the cool thing is that you can basically leverage the computer account in a centrified environment. It's an active account, and this is great for read-only shares. But now let's talk about the problem with a read-write share, and what is the problem? The problem is that you still need to provide access to users. In my example, I'm using the marketing share, and I have a marketing group. If you take a look at it on my Active Directory, in my marketing group, marketing share access has both Elaine and Jay Peterman as part of that group. And what I want to accomplish is that when they go to a Mac OS machine or a Unix Linux machine or a Windows machine, that I don't have to reinvent the wheel, that I can still use this security group in AD to control who has access for read-write purposes. So the first step that I need to do is be able to create my share, and I've already done this. So what I've done is basically a little bit of what I did with this share before. I have this marketing share, and if I look at the properties of sharing, what I've done is the same thing. I have, I'm sharing it as marketing, and in the permissions I have authenticated users, but in this case I'm using change rather than read. And I've done that for administrative purposes. I've had the domain admins to have the ability to full control. At the level of the NTFS, at the file system level, what I've done is that I have the marketing share access. The members of that group have a modify. So the idea is, at this point, if I were to have a homogeneous environment with only Windows machines, I would be done. But the problem across Unix, Linux, and Macs is a little bit different because you have to have a unified identity. Ideally, the mount command has to be executed by root, so people should have access to do that, but you don't want to share the root account. And also, you don't want people to use clear text passwords as well. So We have the share already done. What we need to do is to Unix enable this group. Some of you that have been following this blog know that we're using ZPA. So for me to be able to Unix enable this group, all I need to do is I have in my provisioning, I have all Unix groups in here. All I need to do is go ahead and nest the group. So marketing, I'm going to go ahead and just nest this group over here. And I'm going to provide, I think we're going to be using this test with Elaine. So we got to make sure that I'm going to be doing this from send1. So I got to make sure who is Unix enabled in that machine. So let's go ahead and take a look at send1. So if I look at send1 AD query user, notice that only Cosmo and George have access. So I need to make sure that, you know, Elaine is visible because she's from marketing, and that's the test user, and she has the ability to mount a share. So first we're going to be, in this part of the video, we're going to set up all the, you know, all the identity pieces, and in the second part of the video, we're going to verify that everything works well. So let's go ahead and I'm going to quickly run ZPA here. Some of you are familiar with Zone Provisioning Agent, the ability to, you know, just use Active Directory groups to provision Unix identities. And in a Centrify environment, users need to have an identity and a role to be able to log in. So I'm going to go ahead and you know, run this utility, and let's go ahead and launch it. And I'm just gonna go again and restart it. What I'm interested in is making sure that the group in AD, this Marketing Share access, has a Unix identity as well. So it has to be known to Linux and Mac systems. So I'm gonna go into Access Manager now. I'm gonna go down to Unix Data Groups, and I'm gonna do a refresh. Oh, actually it's already there. So I don't like this underscore, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this, and I'm going to make it marketing share that access. And I don't like this long UID, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it 99998. And basically what I've done right now is that the group is visible at the zone level. So if I go into this machine over here and I do an AD flush, I should be able to see the group. So AD query group, and I should see that marketing share access. Notice that there's no members right now. That's because you know, access has been limited by direct authorize here. So if I look at AD query user, because Elaine is not visible, it basically is not authorized to log into that machine, therefore she's not visible in that group. So what I need to make sure is that I create a role that allows her to be able to mount without her knowing the root account password. So I'm gonna basically go ahead and create a group, a role. First and foremost, I know that in my rules are she's only gonna have SSH access. So I'm gonna create just that command really quickly, and it's gonna be mount. And I'm gonna just make it the mount command from you know, any specific path. This is me for just to make it really fast, and runs as root by default, and I want to authenticate the person when they do that. So now I have the building blocks to create a role, and this role will be you know, marketing mounts. So at available times, I'm going to make sure that is available any time. I'm going to allow password login, non-password login, and login with a non-restricted shell. And I'm interested in auditing if it's possible. So now I have the role created. What I need to make sure is that I assign the role to the proper computer. I believe that I had categorized my CentOS 1 machine as a web server, so I could do it with this, or I could do it at this level. You typically don't want to do it at computer level, you want to do it in a group level. But let's go ahead, I'm going to assign a role, and I already have a group associated, so I don't have to create a group. So this will be marketing users, and what I'm going to do is add it's going to be an internal assignment, and I'm going to find a group in AD, and that's my group right here, and I'm going to make sure that that assignment is created. Once that assignment is created, if I take a look at the group properties, now a lane that belongs to the marketing share access has basically an identity and a role. I was going to make a big mistake here. I created the role, but I did not assign the rights. This is a very common mistake that people do. So I'm going to do SSH, SSHD, and the ability to run the mount command. So now if I flush my cache here, because I don't want to wait 60 minutes by default, and I take a look at the users, now I should be able to see Elaine, which is my test user, and if I look at AD query group, I'll be able to have the marketing share already contains Elaine Bennett. So now if I take a look at DZ info Elaine Bennett, you will see that the user basically, and in this case still there's no assignment being created, so I have to kind of take a look at what happened there. So the user does not have a role still, so I have to take a look at what I did wrong. So let's take a look. Marketing users has that role. If I look at the role assignments, have been done at the computer level. Marketing share access does have the role. So I'm just gonna maybe flush it again. And because I have a two domain controller situation going here, this is a great example. Sometimes you have to wait for replication to happen. So let's take a look again and do an AD flush. And if I look at Elaine's information, notice that now it does have SSH and the mount command. So now I make sure that from an identity perspective, the group exists in AD, it's Unix enabled, my user belongs to that group, and the user has the proper privileges to mount because root can only mount share. So everything seems to be lined up for this, and in the next video I'll show you, we will test that mount and make sure that we can control access to that. We will Unix enable another user, Jay Peterman, and we'll see how that works. And see you in part 2.